Working our way through a brand new week. It is Georgia game week, and we roll on. And by the way, thanks to all the Oklahoma fans who are brand new Village Vice viewers. We appreciate you logging on and checking out the videos and all those. That's why I read them. Zach doesn't, but I do. He's Zach Blackerby. I'm Brad Law. It's Village Vice. It's brought to you by mybookie.ag. They are doubling your initial deposit when you use promo code NEXTROUND. It's crazy. It's wonderful. Take advantage of it if you haven't yet. We're in a brand new month. Start fresh. Start clean with mybookie.ag. Enjoy football season to the fullest when you use promo code NEXTROUND. Double the initial deposit.
Hey, and I'll tell you, our friends at MyBookie, that line is Auburn plus 24.5.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting line. Right now, I'm taking Auburn plus the points. Not to win, but I do think they keep it within 24 points. So, yeah, we'll talk about that throughout the week for sure, and probably later today. But Payton Thorne, Auburn quarterback Payton Thorne, joined the next round for his Tuesday morning visit, as he does every single week. And, of course, the guys asked him about the pick six. You have not seen this yet, correct?
No, I've not seen this. I've been working on lots of other stuff, and I missed the visit. I just kind of lost track of it.
All right. I'm going to play the most interesting part that's got – I'm not going to tell you the response it's gotten. I think it's going to be really good to get this raw reaction from him. I'm going to keep our faces on the screen so we can see. What?
What is this? How long is this?
It's like 3 minutes, but we can pause it if we need to. Okay?
Okay.
So if there's something you want to comment, just we'll stop it and go through it. So, yeah, here it is.
Sure, the one play that haunts you is the 3rd and 4, the Oklahoma 43, 4:06 to go in the game. What did you see or did not see on that 3rd down?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I talked to people close to me and our coaches and some of my teammates too. And, quite honestly, if I had that play over 10 times, I probably would have done the same thing 10 times out of 10. And so, it is frustrating for me, and you look back on it, it sucks. However, I got to give credit to them. They had the perfect call on for what we were doing. It looked like zero across the board to me. We had 5 out. We were an empty. They brought 6 guys up on the line of scrimmage. They had their 2 backers mugged up in the A gaps. And so I had to do something with my protection in order to get protected, because obviously we only have 5 guys. So we had talked about sliding away from the boundary defensive end, and I did that. And then my eyes have to go to the mug backer to the boundary, because our number 2 receiver to the boundary had a choice route. He can go in or out. And so, when I'm looking at that and looking at the leverage over number 2, the man playing over him, I was thinking there's a good chance we're getting an in cut here. So I snapped the ball, and I had to slide a little bit because I slid my protection, and we're not blocking the boundary end. Well, I looked at, I think it was number 10 was in the boundary A gap, the backer. He took a step forward and put his hands on our guy, and so did the other backer on the snap. And so I thought they were coming. And then since I have a choice route to the boundary, I have to get my eyes on him to see if he's going in or out. I can't just keep my eyes glued in the middle of the field. And then
this is a lot. Like, that's my first take. We'll get to the end of it, but this is a lot. This ain't backyard football.
No, right. And it's clear that these guys have a lot to, break down. And, that's kind of, the college quarterback gist of it.
I'll get to I'll do the same thing 10 out of 10 times, because that slaps you right in the face.
Well, that's kind of what the rest of it is. So I don't, it's a lot of, Payton says, hey, I would do this 10 out of 10 times. And then explains what happened, which is great. I do think that general education is important for sure. And Hugh Freeze has hinted to that to some extent since, his Saturday post game. But you don't have to word it that way, right? Just say based off of what we called, I feel confident about the decision, but you hate that it was a pick six. Just say that. Don't say you would do it 10 out of 10 times when you've been labeled as this offense and a quarterback room that can't quit turning the football over.
Yeah, I'm clearly he doesn't mean he would turn the ball over.
I understand.
That's yes. The result. I mean, that's and nobody thinks that. But to say that you make the same it does make it sound formulaic and unchangeable, like a math formula. like X plus Y equals Z. If then this, or if this, then that, all of the time. Now,
well, I think that is the way that this offense is taught.
I do too. And I don't think it's 100% this way, but it does kind of come across that way. And you must be changeable. I think they are, and I think kind of back to what we said on yesterday's show, like, do you actually learn from the situation, or do you not? Do you change your formula going forward and go, no, 10 out of 10 times in the future with an 11-point lead on third down and the defense playing very well, having at that point given up like 190 yards all game?
Yeah.
You run. The formula is you hand off. That's the formula.
And something Hugh Freeze said yesterday when we reacted to the press conference, we didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about this element of it. But on the third down call, where it should have been a throw to the end zone, the play that they called that Hugh Freeze was detailing, he's like, they did the right thing because it was third down, and they did what the rules were on third down. Yeah. And then he's just like, I hadn't taught it in that situation. It's like, okay, that's fine. Like, 2-minute drill, like, that seems pretty important, but okay, that's cool. Like, the quarterback is doing what he's taught, and it does sound like this is the case there as well.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, what happens during a play is important, but like, situational awareness needs to be taught too.
Yeah. Well,
in the in-helmet communication,
quarterbacks aren't human. Quarterbacks aren't human, Zach. We can't talk about them like they're human. They're robots. It's inhuman communication. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, the in-helmet communication, like, that's the part of this, especially like when you kind of are going to be lined up and kind of waiting. Like, that's the thing where, like, Freeze needs to be like, hey, you know, if there's any question here, just run it. You know, make sure it's run. Keep that clock going. We'll punt.
Yeah.
So easy in hindsight, but yeah, to come out and say that you do that 10 out of 10 times, like, I get what he's saying, but you know that quote is going to get grabbed and posted everywhere.
Or do you? Or are you thinking about that? Or are you just answering the question?
How are you not thinking about that, though?
I don't think he is, Zach, and I'm not defending it. I'm just saying I don't think he's thinking about the
and maybe that's good that he doesn't think that way, because like, Payton's not a social media guy, right? Like, he's just not, and that's probably a good thing for several reasons. But yeah, maybe he's not thinking about it. Maybe you're right, but
I think
you just got to know.
Question. Yeah, I think he's answering the question honestly. That 10 times out of 10, that's the read to make. And you know, I think as you recruit players with football savvy and football IQ, part of that is, man, you gotta know, like, just you call something different. Ben Leard was on Tiger Talk last night. You know, the guy who threw for 1 million yards at Georgia, and he told the story of how the defensive end like brought pressure, which left the outside corner on man coverage on Ronnie Daniels. And he told him after the very first time that he came on a blitz and knocked him down, he said, he knocked me out on the first play, but it was a touchdown. He said, and I told him, if you do that again, I'm going to throw that same pass and we're going to score again. And he said he did it again. Like, there's an awareness of, if the defense does this, maybe my first check is ABC, but I have the football savvy to understand game, time, situation, individual matchups. And maybe I don't go with, you know, maybe my check is different, not based on a formula, but based on a situation. Now, there are statistics and there are metrics, and, you know, metrics are, some coaches and some players love metrics, and they are successful most of the time for a reason. It's like a cliche is a cliche for a reason. There's a lot of truth to it in most cases. But there is still that moment where there's a feel for the situation where you're free to make a different call. And you'd like that. You'd like that to be the case, where you're free to make a different call.
Yeah. I get what he's saying. Once again, you got to know. Like, you got to know that that's going to be grabbed and perceived the wrong way. So,
yeah.
I'll
tell you, and I like this. I like a quarterback that's confident, but in that situation, I don't think you'd want to do the same thing 10 out of 10 times. No. You'd want to check into a running play.
Yeah, give your defense a shot.
I also think next time a running play will just be called. There will be no checking into a running play.
You would think that, man, but I don't know. I don't think that's who this team is at this point.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was until Saturday.
Okay.
I will be shocked if it's not going forward. Like, let Auburn go have an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter at Georgia Saturday. And then you watch Jarquez eat, whether it's for a 2-yard gain or 2-yard loss. I think they're running in the fourth quarter.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I hope you're right. I hope they're running in the first quarter too.
Yeah.
Yep. Got my hat?
I love that hat. That's a terrific design. I have that design as well with a different. There's the back of mine.
Wow.
And there's the front. Barner Supply. Our friends at Barner Supply, a wonderful Auburn group, couple of couples that have Auburn ties, either graduated from Auburn or lived in Auburn for really their entire lives. And they're creative and they're just awesome people. They're Barners making gear for Barners. Barner is not a derogatory term. It's a term that means blue collar, hardworking, honest, don't mind a good solid day's work. Check them out at barnersupply.com. Use our promo code VillageVice. Buy a hat and a koozie. The koozie's for free if you use our promo code VillageVice. No spaces. Check them out, barnersupply.com.
I love that.
Yeah.
What should Auburn fans' expectations be going into Athens on Saturday?
That Georgia's going to try to take advantage of this young secondary. Jay Crawford will be thrown at in the game Saturday. Georgia, and part of this is again situational, but they threw the ball 50 times against Alabama, and they're good at it. Georgia runs less than any other team in the SEC.
Wow, that's surprising.
By a lot. They're averaging 25 rush attempts per game.
Okay.
It is by far the fewest in the SEC. We're talking about Auburn not running the ball enough. Auburn has far more rush attempts than Georgia to this point in the season. So they're dead last in the league in rush attempts. So they're going to throw the ball, and it will be important. You know, they use those big dudes up front to protect Carson Beck. He hasn't been touched very much this year. So that's where I think it starts in terms of the expectation.
Which Georgia offense do you think is what we will more likely see on Saturday? What they did against Kentucky? What they did in the first half against Alabama? Or what they did in the second half against Alabama?
That's a great question. I don't.
Thanks.
I don't.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I don't know what Alabama did.
I felt really good asking it.
Shut up.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what Alabama did defensively in the second half. I fell asleep in the second half of that game.
I quit watching it until I was like, oh my goodness, they're only down a touchdown or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I turned it on and they scored and took the lead. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah. And then Ryan Williams is like, no, I'm special. And it's like, yes, you are. You are.
Speaking of situational awareness and field awareness and everything else. Do you know he's 17, by the way? Only 17.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, hadn't heard that. And Bo Nix's dad played at Auburn. All right, so
Garrett Stidham's from Texas.
He is from Texas. That's a good point. Yep. Georgia historically has started so slow offensively. I say historically, the last year and a half. You know, whether it was South Carolina last year at home or Kentucky this year on the road or Alabama on the road, they've started slow on offense. They've not been blowing teams away offensively. What they did in the second half in Tuscaloosa was the exception rather than the rule. They started slow in Auburn last year. So I think based on that, it would not shock me if Auburn gets out to a faster start offensively than Georgia does.
Wow. How would you compare Georgia's defense to Oklahoma's defense?
Georgia's is better.
By a lot?
I think they're both top. I mean, they're top half of the league. They're both.
Say yes, so I can ask my real question.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So by a lot.
Yeah. And you and I have talked about how worthless, the whole transitive property from game to game and week to week is. Everything's so different. What can we take from Auburn putting up 480 yards of total offense against Oklahoma to have realistic expectations as far as Auburn's offensive production against Georgia?
Yeah.
Was that not a good question?
No, it was an excellent question.
Okay.
Well, you're in real need of affirmation today.
That first one felt good. That compliment felt good, and now it's like an itch. I just got to scratch it.
Your need for affirmation and approval is up there today.
Complimented my hat.
Yeah.
You've now complimented 2 of my questions.
It's wonderful. But that may have been your best question all day.
Wow. Just wait till the next one.
Look, one-on-one matchups, man. Do you like Cam Coleman against their DBs? Do you like Keandre Lambert-Smith against their defensive backs? I do.
You do?
I do, because I like them against
I don't know.
Back. I like them at least 50-50.
Sure.
Okay. Now, do I like Auburn's tackles against their defensive ends? That's the big test.
No.
Because if Payton ain't got time to throw, could be a long day. But if you go back and look last year, Jarquez had 5 catches against Georgia. I think he led the team in receptions against Georgia. Rivaldo had 4, I think, in the game.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a wide receiver that really did much of anything against Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
That will be different this year. The offense can look different against them. And if you continue the success in the running game, Jarquez had 97 really hard-earned yards in that game, and then Payton did what he did. So if you add a few of those catchable balls from last year, and now those become catches this year, you're in the thick of it. You're in the thick of it.
Where are you with this team leaving Jordan-Hare for the first time? Because they haven't been able to win at home. Can they all of a sudden win in Athens? That'd be the most Auburn thing ever if they did that.
That makes me nervous a little bit because Cal was the first road game last year, and they didn't really seem settled at the beginning of the game. Didn't seem settled at the beginning of the A&M game. Didn't seem settled at the beginning of the LSU game last year. When they played away from home until they got to Fayetteville and Nashville, they didn't start well. Got to find a way to start, which is interesting because, again, Georgia doesn't start all that great offensively. So there's an opportunity, I think, if you can start well. But much like A&M and LSU last year, I think more so than those places, if you don't start well, Georgia's potent enough that they can do a lot of damage early on in the game if you don't start well.
Right. Roback. Roback.com.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I've got my hoodie with me today. I'm going to wear it to softball tonight.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
You're going to feel good. You're going to look good. You are good. Roback.com, RHOBACK.com. They've got the best hoodies in the world. They've got the best collared shirts. They've got shorts and pants and any sort of clothing that you want. Roback has you covered, men and women.
Yeah.
Men and women. And go and check out all their fun patterns. They've got a ton of stuff. It's going to take you some time to go through everything, but it's awesome. Great stuff. Roback.com. We don't want you to pay full price, though. Use promo code VICE20 for 20% off your order today. That is at Roback.com. Promo code VICE20.
There you go.
How you
feel better?
I don't feel worse.
That's good.
Worse. Yeah.
No, that's great.
If I could do that live read 10 more times, I would do it the same way. No regrets.
Well, you know what? You should do it the same way 10 times because that was extraordinary.
Thank you.
It was maybe the best ad read that you've ever done. Can you imagine an ad read any better than that one?
I can.
Yeah.
I can. But if you do anything with confidence and you're just like, I want to do this 10 more times, I'm going to do it the exact same way, even though I know the outcome could have been better. You say it. It's all that matters.
Love it. But the script,
what the script said
is the same.
What the script said.
You got
Could I put more personality into it? Could I have been a little more specific with some of the items that I've personally bought in the past? Sure.
Yeah.
But the script said.
Script stays the same.
Yeah, the script stays the same.
Stick to the script.
Doesn't matter the situation. That's right.
The script work. Look, I've
10 out of 10 times.
I've seen the numbers of people who have ordered at roback.com. The script works.
Yeah.
Most of the time it works.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So there you are. Did you know that did you know that Caleb Harris was the highest graded defensive back in the country?
He's going to be a star.
And that Malcolm Simmons was the highest graded wide receiver in the country a week ago.
I didn't know
that. The SEC. But it's at least in the SEC, maybe the country.
His grade was higher than Ryan Williams was?
That's correct.
On PFF?
Apparently so.
That's a little insane.
That's what the data said.
But I'll take it. How many snaps did Malcolm play?
I don't have that information.
I've got it in like 3 clicks.
I just know that Auburn had the highest graded receiver and defensive back in the conference. And
you want to guess how many snaps Malcolm Simmons played?
How many did Auburn have? Like 70?
76 offensive snaps.
All right. I'm going to guess he played 50.
Malcolm Simmons?
Yeah.
He played 7 snaps.
You're kidding.
No.
Only
he hardly plays. But when he's in, they get on the ball and like crazy stuff happens. But yeah, he doesn't he hardly play. It was like that last week too.
I just assumed now, maybe 50 was too high of a number, but clearly it was. But I just thought for the touches he got, he probably was in for a bunch of plays where he didn't get a touch, but I guess that's wrong.
Yeah. Malcolm Simmons, he played 15 against Arkansas, but it's like, man,
wow.
When he's in there though, they make him a priority. He's explosive.
And he does stuff with the ball.
No kidding.
He does good things.
No kidding. This is the guy I was most wrong about.
Yeah.
I didn't think that we would see him this year. And, people were talking about how athletic he was and how special he was. And I'm like, that's cool.
Well, you heard it in the fall. You heard, look out for him. Don't sleep on him. And like, yeah, but he wasn't here in the spring.
Yeah, and you just don't really see that. And it's like, if that's going to happen for any freshman receiver that got here late, it's going to be Perry.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just no, what's the path to playing time? And it's like, boy, was I wrong. Because that guy is electric.
Yeah. Nope, you're absolutely right. And with him and Keandre Lambert-Smith and Cam Coleman on the field at the same time, hopefully Cam kind of got over the tip drill thing. Glad they went back to him, and he made a couple of big catches. So
yeah, Cam Coleman's a good player. He's a good player already. And he's just going to get better, which is exciting for sure.
Yeah. Again, 2 things are possible to say at the same time. We're disappointed in a 2-3 record. Yep. Probably a little angry about it, a little frustrated about it. Totally get it. Absolutely true.
Right.
Easy to see growth, easy to see potential, easy to see better days ahead because of all that youth that's on the field.
That's right.
Performing well. Yep. That's also true.
Yep.
Both things true at the same time.
Yep. If Auburn can keep the core of this roster together, which I think they will. I'm not as panicked about that as a lot of people are.
Well, you have to understand, you're going to lose some because every team everywhere is going to lose some. There's going to be roster turnover. There'd be roster turnover.
These guys that are contributing and playing and are already why would Malik Blockton leave?
Right.
Why would DeMarcus Riddick leave?
I agree.
These freshmen that are playing, why are you concerned about these guys leave?
Yeah, I'm more thinking about if guys aren't playing or aren't playing much, some of them might leave. They might.
Yeah, which is why
programs too.
Perry Thompson's got to play more than 3 snaps.
Yeah.
I don't even care if you don't throw him you have to figure out a way to make sure Perry Thompson is happy.
Yeah. Yes. But again, some guys are going to leave. I'm not saying Perry's going to leave. I hope Perry stays, and because I think Perry's tremendous. I've been very high on Perry from the start.
Yeah.
So I'm not calling out specific players.
Perry also represents
yes,
Bama flip.
Yeah.
From an area of the state that Auburn historically has not been able to recruit. You
That's
need
right.
Perry. Perry is bigger than just Perry.
Yeah.
You need him to be a part of this team. So
totally agree with that. But at the end of the day, some guys are going to leave because they're going to leave from everywhere. They're going to leave from Alabama and Georgia. They're going to leave from Clemson. They're going to leave from Florida State. They're going to leave from Tennessee. They're going to leave from Ole Miss. They're going to leave.
Yeah, but the whole argument of building the program the right way is to stack multiple classes.
Mm-hmm.
And a top 10 class where 3 or 4 guys transfer out isn't a top 10 class anymore.
Right.
Depending on who leaves, there's variables for sure. But
right.
So like if you want to do that 3 years in a row, you gotta keep the guys.
Yeah.
You gotta keep the guys there.
This is just semantics. So I'm not talking about losing 10 of them. I'm talking about there's a handful that are going to go because roster turnover happens. Like Ohio State's top 10 class will lose some guys that'll decide to transfer and go out. And it's not a top 10 class anymore either.
Maybe, but like
guys leave.
Yeah, I mean, and not all, like there are some guys that could leave and be like, okay, whatever, that doesn't change anything. But yeah, you're right.
Your guys who you believe will be major parts of, major contributors in the next 2 years. Yeah, you want to limit that.
Yeah, well, like sure. That's a common thing that people are saying now, where it's like, yeah, all these freshmen are talented if they stay here, and I'm just like, Caleb Harris is starting, as a freshman in the SEC. Why would he leave? Why would DeMarcus leave? Why would Malik leave? Why would Cam Coleman leave? Like, yeah, those are the ones where I'm just like, ah.
And if you're afraid that they would leave, give more to NIL. Like, if you're afraid these guys are leaving, give more.
Yep. Brad, I think that about does it for today's show.
It does. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for subscribing, commenting. Zach won't read them. I will, and we appreciate them. Remember, until next time.
Hey, in the comments, comment something that you would do 10 out of 10 times.
10 out of 10. I can think of some things I wouldn't do 10 more times, but 10 out of 10 times, what would you do? Maybe refer Village Vice to a friend. Remember, until next time, everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.